Rediscovering myself led me to learn more about the person I am today. It takes time, it takes effort, and it's also understanding why this is important. Rediscovering myself is key because I had to learn more about who I was. I didn't have an identity. Correction, I had an identity, but the identity that I had, I wasn't familiar with. So now I had to learn how to be myself. I had to learn who I was. And it taught me why self-work is really valuable, because if we're not working on ourselves, we can't discover the person that we can grow into. See, growing into the person of our dreams, of our the desire, it takes time. And as it's taking time, we have to put effort to learn more about the person that we are today.
Work hard today.
Work hard and believe in yourself.
I think you might be like one play away from being one of those guys, because I'm seeing you do the groundwork, and then you got books.
But as I'm accepting, as I'm learning, I realize I wasn't the only one going through this. But as I'm not the only one going through this, I realize there's more people that's dealing with problems.
And I feel like this is a subject that never grows old, never goes out of style. We never seem to master it, but there's always great tips to help us. What are your secrets?
A lot of times we have to know ourselves, but it's identifying who we are that helps us grow. Our pain, our trauma, our past help us identify our dreams, our purpose, our reasoning. But it's the will to accept what has happened.
I didn't even know it's gonna be an author. I didn't even know it's gonna be a public speaker. I didn't know it's gonna be all these things that I am now.
Yeah.
But I trust the process.
I believe
In
Myself.
I see something here, but I don't know what's here. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Terryl with the Humphrey, and welcome to another episode of Failure is Knowledge. If this is your first time here, Failure is Knowledge, make sure you like, subscribe, and wait towards the end to leave a comment, because today we're talking about how to rediscover ourselves. Why rediscovering ourselves is so important. It is so important because we wasn't taught it. At least I wasn't taught it, so now I have to learn how to teach myself to grow into discovering the person that I don't even know even existed. And that's why it's so overwhelming, because where do I start? How do I begin to learn more about myself when I haven't put time and effort into learning who I was? See, this is what I learned, that I lacked awareness. See, awareness is being acknowledgeable of things that's around us. Awareness is saying, I'm acknowledgeable of this, and this is why. I wasn't acknowledgeable of myself because I didn't know how to be. See, tough times present the best lessons, because the best lessons come from when you least expect it. And when I least expected, it taught me the importance of why it was okay to go through tough times. See, when I was growing up, my mama, she taught us how to be independent. She taught us how to rely on ourselves rather than relying on everybody else. That was great. Yet it was a crutch as well. Just because, even though she taught us how to be independent, how can we be ourselves while being independent? I had to learn being independent is okay, but it's detrimental. It's not detrimental. It's difficult to deal with if we don't understand who we are. See, rediscovering myself taught me the importance of why I should learn more about the person that I am. I've been through life. I've been through hard times. I've been through tough. I've been through life. I've been through tough times, and the tough times taught me more about myself. Through my injury, through my dad not being in my life, through me and my brothers being raised by a single mom. We have acknowledged our circumstance, our environment, because we have to learn about our struggle. See, our struggle was always around us, but it took me time to ask the right questions to recognize what the struggle even was. So being aware of the struggle led me to acknowledge, to be open to learning more about it. Living my mama, she raised 3 boys by herself. Not knowing as a kid, I'm thinking it was easy for her. Then when I start to grow up, I really realized that it was difficult for her to maintain 2 to 3 jobs, raise three kids, provide for the house, have food, cook. That's a lot. I didn't recognize that until I started asking questions. See, rediscovering myself led me to ask the correct questions that would help me later on in life. That's when I learned the importance of self-awareness, of doing the work for yourself, because doing the work for yourself leads to so many opportunities and answers that we are not even expecting. And it's so important because I began to acknowledge myself because myself became important. I became important to myself because I was learning more about myself. See, that's what rediscovering is all about. We have to acknowledge and become aware of who we are. We have to learn who we are to grow into the best version of ourselves. We have to discover what we have been through and recognize that it's okay to go through tough times. It's okay to experience times that we wasn't expecting. It's okay to actually be open to the struggle. It's not being open to the struggle, but it's acknowledging what's around us that we went through. When we acknowledge what we have been through, we identify our desires. When I learned about myself, I knew I loved football, but I didn't have a life outside of football because I was just so used to playing and learning one particular sport. When football ended, I had no idea who I was because my identity became on the field. My identity was me playing football. Once I stopped playing football because I got injured, it forced me to discover the person that I was. I'm no longer middle linebacker Terryl Humphrey. I'm just Terryl Humphrey now. And oftentimes, me not knowing who I am really stopped my growth because I didn't know how to get to the next level. I didn't know how to discover new opportunities, nor ask the right questions because the question was so difficult to discover because I wasn't working on myself. And it taught me how to really put myself first. Putting yourself first seems selfish. Yeah, it's the most selfless thing that we can do because we have to be willing to care for us before we care for others. That's what I learned from my mom because she is such a selfless person. She is such a selfless person. She cares for everybody, yet she doesn't care for herself as much as she cared for everybody else. At least she didn't. It's changed because she rediscovered herself. See, I didn't recognize that rediscovering yourself doesn't stop. It continues to grow as we continue to put effort into ourselves. And it's so important to recognize that it is okay to rediscover who you are because I'm not the same person I was last year because I actually grew and discovered myself. I'm not the same person I was 5 minutes ago because I grew and discovered myself. Growth does not stop happening. It continues to change because we have to work with time rather than against it, because when we understand what has already happened, we have to discover the growth that's in ourselves. We have to acknowledge and become aware of where we are today. I can only change and work on myself every single day. Discovering myself does not end because I'm learning what I like, what I don't like, who I am. How can I become this person? And I've learned I have the skills to be myself, but who am I? This is who I am. This is who Terryl Humphrey is. Terryl Humphrey is a person that loves himself. See, I have to love myself before I love others. I love myself because I had to learn why being selfless was so important. Why I had to learn why being selfish to myself was so important because it led me to become even more selfless. That's why it's so important, because even though I wasn't able to continue playing football, my life didn't stop because my life kept changing. And it forced me to rediscover myself and to learn more about who I was becoming. See, I've always been this person. I just forgot about it. We're always this person. We just forget about it because tough times come, and when they come, we get knocked down. Once we get knocked down, how can we pick ourselves back up to be okay with the struggle? The struggle is the best teacher because it teaches you how to learn more about yourself. That's why I didn't recognize that it was teaching me how to solve problems. It was teaching me how to solve problems because even though I didn't understand who I was, my skills was being developed because I was aware of myself. I was becoming aware of the person that I was becoming. See, here's what happened with problem solving skills. I used to be so hard on myself because I didn't recognize how far I came, what I done. I just went with the motion because the motion was something I was used to doing. When I was playing football, I remember I made one play. My coach in high school, he used to say this one line: focus on the next play, focus on the next down. Because if you get so stuck in what has already happened, we lose the opportunity for the next play to come. I didn't recognize. I'm like, oh, okay, let me just go ahead and go with the motion. Let me go ahead and focus on the next play rather than the one I just went through. The one I went through, they didn't say celebrate the moment, because the moment that you went through, it took a lot to get there. The struggle that you experienced, it took a lot to grow through it, because we have to learn that we have to focus on the next play and recognize and be aware of everything that we have been through. See, the struggle wasn't there for no reason. The struggle was there to help us grow and to recognize and not forget that hard times are going to always be here. But what are we doing to change and discover the person that we are today? See, that's why it's so important to recognize who you are, to be aware of who you're becoming, to acknowledge everything that you have been through. We can't change the past. We can only discover ourselves to learn more about what we can do to grow into ourselves. That's when I understood that I had beliefs, but the beliefs that I had was very limited because I didn't recognize it. I didn't recognize it because I didn't know how to. See, that's why it's so important to rediscover yourself, because the beliefs that I have, the belief that I had at that moment was saying, I'm just going to go with the motion. I'm just going to focus on the next play rather than celebrating the small wins that I've accomplished in order to grow and continue having success. And it was only limited because how can we grow and expand the way we think if we're so stuck in the past? How can we grow how we think if we're so stuck on the future? See, I didn't know this, that we have to focus on the present just as much as the future. Because if we're focused on the future, we're forgetting about the present, and we're forgetting to celebrate what we have been through. That's why it's so important to recognize what you have been through is a lesson to help you grow. Your past is there with you. Your past is never going to leave you. Your past is always going to teach you a lesson, but the lesson has to be present when you become aware. And when you're aware, you acknowledge what you have been through, and what you have been through, you can no longer change. You can't change what we have experienced. We can only learn and rediscover ourselves to grow and handle what's coming for us. And once I recognized the limited belief that I had, the belief taught me that it's okay to celebrate today. It's okay to celebrate the present. It's okay to be aware of everything that we have been through, because what you have been through, you didn't experience for no reason. The belief was very limited because I thought when I celebrated, it destroyed my results for the future. Not knowing me celebrating was me multiplying my success, multiplying my greatness, multiplying what I've accomplished, because I had to learn how to be okay with identifying and acknowledging what I have been through, what I have done, what I have experienced, and celebrate. Not only celebrate, but to understand why I'm celebrating. The reason why I'm celebrating is because I had to change the belief that I had for myself. It's okay to celebrate. It's okay to recognize how far you came, because how far you are going is because of because of the struggle. That's when I understood that the resources that we have, We have more than we think because the resources are all around us. At the time when I was playing football, my resources was my coaches. The coaches that I had, that was teach me not only how to be disciplined. My coaches that was around me was not only teaching me how to be a great player, they was teaching me discipline. They was teaching me time management. And it was teaching me how to be the best me without me even knowing what the lesson was. You're going to be here at 5:30. Make sure you're early. You're going to practice from 5:30 to 7:30, 8 o'clock. Make sure you're present. You're going to practice tomorrow, 5:30 to 8. Same time. Make sure you're there. I didn't recognize I was going with the flow, but the flow was teaching me so many lessons because I was unaware of what was going on for us. My coaches was the resources that was helping us become our resources. The coaches was helping us discover our best, was helping us discover our effort, was helping us discover things that we did not see. See, we can't see everything, but the people that surround us can help us identify what we don't even know is even here. They can help us. They can help us see what we lack the belief in. What we think we're not good at, they know that they see our potential, but our potential is so limited because our belief is so limited. That's why I had to recognize that it's so important to put ourselves first, to be comfortable with the person that we are, to learn more about who we are and who we're becoming, because we have to be selfish to be selfless, because if we're not working on ourselves, we can't make the impact that we would like to because we're not putting ourselves first. And see, the coaches, our resources really taught me that time happens and it's happening. You have to be aware of what you're doing. I mean, my 10th grade year, I wasn't that good, but I was going with the motion. And my coach asked me, he was like, "Humphrey, are you a high rep guy or low rep guy?" I'm like, "What that mean?" I said, "Low rep." I said, "Low rep." He said, "No, you ain't." I said, "What you mean?" I said, "What does that even mean?" He said, "Humphrey, you a high rep guy, meaning that you need a lot of reps to get in. You need a lot of practice to practice. You need a lot of practice to perfect this certain role, this certain position, and you're not putting that time into yourself. So you're a high rep guy because you're not putting effort behind the scenes." I didn't understand me not putting efforts behind the scene really destroyed my capabilities, really destroyed my belief, really destroyed everything I had in mind. Just because I was a high rep guy didn't mean I was terrible. It just meant I was lazy. Because I thought me getting on the field to practice was my practice, not knowing I had to practice outside of the field. That's when the resources, that's when my Coach Ely, he taught me that the resources is here. Are you taking advantage of the resources that you have? I wasn't at the time because I didn't even understand what he was even saying. Are you a high rep guy or low rep guy? I'm like, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. But when he explained it, he said you need a lot of reps to get perfect. You need a lot of reps to get practice. You need a lot of reps to even believe in yourself. I'm like, maybe he got a point. Maybe he got a point. But it changed. I had to be willing to adapt to change. I had to change myself, because if I didn't change myself, the same routine that I had, it was going to destroy everything that I was working towards. And I wasn't working towards nothing. I was just trying to start. Correction, I was trying to start. So me not understanding that I have to adapt to change, that's the next point I want to hit on, the adapting to change. We have to be aware of that change happens with or without us. See, what is adapting to change is practicing behind the scenes before the scene even get displayed, before the scene even get made up, before the scene even get brought to life. Because oftentimes the effort that you put into yourself shows when it's time when you least expect it. See, adapting to change is really understanding that I have to work really hard at things that I want to do, at dreams that I want to chase, at goals that I want to accomplish. Because if I'm not working extra hard, if I'm not being this high rep guy, this high rep individual, how can I be and create something that has never been created before? See, that's why I had to rediscover myself, because what I had in my mind wasn't the correct information, because I wasn't able to change. I wasn't adapting to change because I didn't know about it. When he told me that, it hit me, and I learned the importance of adapting to change. You can only adapt to change when you rediscover yourself. And I had to learn more about myself. And when I learned more about myself, rediscovery came easy, because I was increasing the amount of work that I was putting into myself. Because it taught me to let go of attachments. The attachments that I had was my past. I struggled. Yes, we struggled. But are we going to always struggle? Are we going to always be at our lowest point, when the point is up to us to change the direction? That's when I understood that we have the power, but the power has to be understood within ourselves. That's why I had to learn how to let go of the attachments that I had from my past, because my past was destroying my present, because I wasn't preparing for my future. That's when I understood that adapting to change is you making a choice, is me making a decision for myself, and me being a high rep guy and practicing on a daily basis. And what this does is that, one, it increases the reps, it increases the practice, it increases the time for you to get better. Two, it builds your consistency, your discipline. You're able to learn from things that you're not really good at. Yet if you continue to do it over and over and over and over again, you're bound to get better. I was bound to get better because I consistently worked behind the scenes. I consistently put more effort into myself when I wanted more for me. When I wanted more for me. So I had to be willing to adapt to change, because rediscovery is a skill that has to be developed every single day. And as it's developing every single day, I have to decide that, am I going to change? Am I going to grow with change, or change is going to leave me behind when I don't understand how to continue to push forward? That's when I began to see change as an opportunity. I began to see change as an opportunity, because the habits that I had my previous years, that was being broken, because I was replacing the bad habits with the new habits. My resources, the coaches that were helping me become better, but they can only do so much for the time that we have. What am I doing behind the scenes? What am I doing when nobody's in front of me to tell me how am I supposed to do things in a particular way, in a certain type of skill? What am I doing to get better? I was focusing more because I was seeing change. I was seeing growth. I was seeing awareness and how much I was acknowledging the position that I was playing, because the role that I had only grew to more responsibilities. See, me seeing change is me adapting to who I used to be. Me seeing change is me adapting to my growth, because who I used to be stops me from learning. My struggle is always with me, yet is with me. Because what you've been through just can't leave you. Is with me because I learned how to handle it. Me seeing the change is me identifying that I had to discover myself to be the best I can be every single day. We have to be willing to be the best me. I have to be willing to be the best me before I can help everybody else. It's okay to be selfish in order to be selfless. Because if we're not working on ourselves, how can we see the change that we want to make? That's why it's so important to recognize that it's okay to put yourself first. I had to recognize it's okay to put myself first, because there's a lot of work that has to be done behind the scenes, and I'm the only one that can do it. Nobody can hold my hand and say, hey, this is how you're supposed to do it. I have resources, I have coaches. They can't do it for me. They can't do it for me. I have to learn how to do it for myself. As I'm doing it for myself, I'm learning how to build awareness. I'm learning how to build awareness and understand. As I'm building awareness, I'm developing skills to solve problems. And as I'm developing skills to solve problems, I'm learning how to adapt to change, because change doesn't stop happening. We just grow with it rather than us getting left behind. If you enjoyed this video and want to watch more videos on how to personally develop within yourself, personally grow for yourself, click this link down right here to watch it, to watch more videos. And also leave a comment down below on how you are going to rediscover yourself to learn how to gain awareness, develop problem solving skills, and adapt to change.